Hello, my name is Katie Morse, and today I'll be talking about unpredictability and scarcity and how we can use SMART goals or my SMART goal to this and like what is unpredictability and scarcity. So first things first, a reiteration of my SMART goal. At least 3 times a week, go outside to walk or do an outdoor activity for an hour. It's very common that people are caught up in their work and what they do, and going outside can actually help relieve stress, and also to just gain a fresh breath of air helps us as well as being active and not being always at a desk or a cubicle. So first things first, we need to understand unpredictability. So unpredictability is basically randomization. So randomization can allow the user to gain or experience something randomly. So the game is not so linear, like everything is given to them. They can actually gain something new every time. So there's two different types of randomization. There's randomization with replacement, which is one of the options returned to the list of possible outcomes. When it's chosen, the odds do not change between attempts. So if you ever played GTA Online, the casino, and you do the spin every single day, no matter what you got the day before, it's going to be the same outcome. So basically, if you get one option, it goes back to being an option that you can use again. So it does this, in my opinion, this does make it harder for like players to obtain something very, very rare. But the player is more likely to keep doing it because they know that they can obtain something rare randomly one day. And then you have randomization without replacement, which is one of the options that's chosen does not return to the list of possible outcomes. The results of one selection directly affect the odds of the next selection. So, for example, if you had a bag of marbles and there's like one color marble each, so blue, red, green, if you select red and you pick that out, well, now you have a higher possibility of getting blue or green, and you don't put the red back. So your chances of getting those other two colors are higher because of that one choice. That's what it is without replacement. So also too, there's Skinner's boxes. So this is the idea that specific consequences are associated with voluntary behavior. So basically, actions that are rewarded are more likely to occur, and actions that are punished are less likely to occur. So it's kind of like a game where you're constantly rewarded. Kind of reminds me of a casual game where you can sit there and just obtain rewards, and there's not really room for punishment. Also, to your actions, if they're punished or you have a punishment, you're not going to be rewarded randomly or any type. And then there's different types of reinforcements. So you have fixed reinforcement. That means the reward is given every time the action is performed. So every time you collect 10 gold, you get a reward. And then you have a fixed ratio schedule. The reward is delivered after a set number of times the action is performed. So if you obtain 10 gold coin 3 times, then you get a reward. Then you have variable ratio schedule. The reward is delivered after an unpredictable number of responses. So you can obtain a prize after you give the NPC 10 coins. So, but it can happen the first time you give them 10 coins, or like the 100th time you give them 10 coins to get a reward. And then you have your fixed interval schedule. After a set amount of time, the reward will be delivered the next time the action is performed. So, say you met that mark of giving the NPC 3 times 10 pieces of gold. Well, the next time you perform that action, you'll be rewarded for it. Versus in that moment, you're being rewarded. And then you have variable interval schedule. After an unpredictable amount of time, the reward will be delivered the next time the action is performed. So it's kind of like the one before, which I believe is fixed ratio schedule. Yeah. So it's kind of like that, but it's unpredictable. You don't know how many times or how many times you have to do something to receive reward. And then on top of that, the next time they perform the action, they'll get rewarded. Kind of like fixed interval, but it's unpredictable. And then the longer it takes for a user to earn a reward they are after, the longer they will play the game. And that is true. If there's like a rare weapon they can obtain, but they have to do certain actions in a certain way, then they're going to constantly try to do it and meet those standards to get rewarded. But if the player is just randomly, or not randomly, but if the player is just given it, they're more likely to just stop playing the game. Because it kind of shows the player, like, hey, you're kind of destined to get this. You didn't really, just because you went out of your way for this reward, it doesn't mean you're not going to be rewarded for it. Kind of something like that. And also, too, if the player badly wants a reward, they'll constantly go after it. Also, too, in games, lucky shots are fun for the player. So, like I said earlier about GTA, if you do the casino wheel, you know what I'm talking about. There's a little slot, there's only one, and you can get like a free car. And if you hit it, it's like really, really exciting because you're like, oh my god, I have a new car, I can customize and drive around. So lucky things that happen to the players are really fun for the player because then that makes them want to continue like doing that action because they think they can be rewarded again, luckily. Also, too, the definition of fun is the feeling we get from learning a new skill. So that's a good thing and a bad thing. Once we master a game, it's no longer fun because we mastered it. So if you played Skyrim and got all your stats maxed up, it's no longer fun because you have all your stats and you already learned how to play the game. But the minute you put the legendary thing in, it adds more to the game. Or when you add randomness and uncertainty, it's a good way to bring fun back into the game because if like you complete the game but you still have a spin wheel or something that does exclusive or limited time rewards, then the player is going to constantly continue playing that game so they can get different rewards or different things or learn new things and abilities. So a few ways I can put it into my smart project is side quests that can unlock new pets. So while the player uh, walks around to get like a quest, like they have to walk to a certain point or walk a certain amount of feet, and they can unlock a new quest. Also, too, another unpredictable thing: players' pets can turn evil randomly, and that can kind of not have a negative effect, but have a different perspective, maybe of the game. Like the game is no longer vibrant and colorful; it's like dark and gloomy, and like the levels itself or the stories take a dark turn. Also, too, outdoor places such as a basketball court can be a nest for pets that need to be hatched. So the player can collect eggs, and they can randomly get a new pet, whether it's rare or not, or it can be a common one. So now we're going to talk about scarcity. So adding an appearance of value to an object is to make it rare or provide the illusion that it's difficult to obtain. So, for example, like with Cyberpunk 2077, like the collector's edition, like if you get that right now, it's pretty rare and it has value to it, even though it may be like a simple statue or hard case steelbook. Just having that game and then that added to it, it does add a lot of value and make it scarce to obtain, or it's very difficult to obtain. Also, too, if you kind of think of it, um, let's say like Pokemon cards that are shiny, like they're very, very hard to obtain. Like literally, they just make the Pokemon just glimmer in the sunlight, but they have extreme value because it's hard to find those types of Pokemon cards. Um, Items that are valuable for a limited time feel valuable because they are only available for a limited time. So usually during Black Friday or during holiday seasons, or just like, for example, it happens a lot on Raid where there's a new event like Raid Shadow Legends, and like certain characters or items are extremely, extremely exclusive for like that day or that week. That adds more to scarcity as well because the likelihood of that player getting it and like versus other players, it can add value to it. Also, too, holiday events, like I just mentioned, encourage players to play because of the aesthetics and limited offers. So, if you play Destiny, most of the time they have during Halloween, I forgot what it's called, but they have like a Halloween event. Also, too, during the holidays, they have something new. I remember when I played I think it was Osiris one, they had one where you can actually race the sparrow, but you can only do that during the holidays. You couldn't do that like anytime you wanted to. And it like encouraged a lot of players to go back into Destiny because they want to like play against their friends and race against their friends, and it added a new thing to the game. So things like that. Also too, adding cooldowns and time limits for sorry, and good or service can be acquired under time. So going back to Raid Shadow Legends, you can only do certain raids, um, like Force Keep, Spirit Realm stuff. I think that's what they're called. Um, sorry. You can only do those during certain times and certain days. I see this a lot with my dad. Like, if he like tries as much as he can to like go to those raids and do those raids on those days, because the rewards he's receiving from those raids are only available on those days. But the minute there's a cooldown time limit, he plays the other raids, but he wants to play the one that he was playing again. Or like the resets every day at 5 o'clock, so he always tries his best to like complete daily quests or try to get like a new character. But once that reset happens, then he goes back to like being normal, and then the next day he'll start playing it right before the reset. It actually adds to like a habit, because he's doing this every single day. Now, scarcity can be a negative valence emotion, but it can be used for positive issues. So, for example, like during holiday events, you can encourage players to give to other players, like rewards and stuff like that are limited. And if they give a limited reward, you reward the player in a certain way, or give them something else. It may be a negative valence because you're trying to motivate the player to play your game, like kind of not forcing them, but making them really badly want to play your game, because that object in your game is going to be available for a limited time, and the player knows they can only acquire it during that certain time. That's the reason why it's really negative. But other than that, you can use it for positive. Like I mentioned, the holidays, cooldowns. Some days you can like slash the cooldowns in half, so they have a little bit longer. Or like during holiday seasons, they have longer times for cooldowns. That can help them out as well. So how can I apply this to my SMART goal? Well, I can add daily goals that are given to the player to motivate them to go outside. And if they accomplish these goals, they get rewarded. During the holidays, they can require pets that are with that holiday or stories. So if it's Christmas, then they can get Christmas type of pet, and it has like a Christmas kind of story to it. Also, every week there could be a countdown to unlock background lore of the pets, or every day. So every day they have to log in, and they can unlock a daily background lore of their pet, or something new about another pet they're trying to attain. But in conclusion, as we continue the process of gamification, we understand the importance of unpredictability and scarcity. We also discover new ways to use these goals and have a deeper understanding of how we experience it. We know with scarcity it can be negative, but there's a lot of ways to use it possible, and how scarcity actually helps motivate your players to constantly log in and play, and that can be applied to my SMART goal. And then unpredictability adds randomization to games, because once we master games, it takes the fun out of it. Well, that is fun. But after we master our games, adding unpredictability or random rewards that happen still keeps the player keep coming back to it. We learned a lot today. I hope you enjoyed listening to me and my presentation. And thank you for listening.